Hello, ghouls, guys, gals, humanoids of all kinds, and any other type of life forms that may be streaming this broadcast. You are now joining me, Ashley Storm, as we get the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, serial killers, and dark history all under. Hello, ghouls, guys, gals, humanoids of all kinds, and any other type of life forms that may be streaming this broadcast. You are now joining me, Ashley Storm, as we get the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, serial killers, and dark history all under one freaky little roof. A gathering place for the morbid curiosity to come and play and learn about the deepest, darkest parts of the unknown. Join myself and special guests such as paratech makers, move-on experts, cryptid hunters, and segments of terrifying tales from around the world in person. Delve more in depth to these subjects than you ever have before. Take my hand and join me on our adventure as we go storming the unknown. Hey guys, Ashley Storm here with Storming the Unknown podcast on RU Radio Media Network. I always have to try and remember not to say radio. And I'm here with Fred Scheidenberger Jr., who is the, I believe, founder, correct, of Spirit Recon?
Correct.
Yes. And he is a wonderful historian as well. Maybe not, like, technically, but in my eyes, I absolutely love the work he does with the historical societies, actually being a part of them, being invited in by them to conduct these experiments and these investigations inside of these city locations, which, if anybody who's an investigator is watching, you know how hard that is to get access, first and foremost, to anywhere, but especially to government buildings and things like that. So, Fred, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself before we get started, and then I'll go ahead and share it to a few pages while you do that.
Thanks, Ashley. My name's Fred Scheidenberger. Live in Wilmington, Illinois. We're just 60 miles south of Chicago on old Route 66, the Mother Road. Originally from Muncie, Indiana. I've been here about 10 years. Really spent most of my life unaware of, I guess you could say, unaware of what was going on around us. And then the set of circumstances set into motion my obsession or passion with the paranormal, and a crazy first encounter for my first paranormal encounter really boosted and sent a lot of wheels into motion also that are still continuing this day now about 4 years later.
Pretty hard, might I add. So one of the things that, aside from actually talking about the, I guess, coinciding factors that we have there with the cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal, all the different lightings and different situational, at least like the temperature drops, we're going to get into it in a little bit before we get started on that. I do want to talk about what you have done at it's the Wilmington Historical Society, correct?
That's correct. I'm just trying to reshare the page real quick. It looks like my share failed, so let me see what we can do. My Wi-Fi should be good.
Also,
it looks like
touch on the different poker games and things that you held there to try and get that situational response.
Right.
Give them a situation to react to, which in a lot of investigations you see where people are truly trying to reconnect with these spirits or help them or get just a kind of pure information. You create your own little laboratory to make things happen. You want to go ahead and tell everybody about everything that you've done with
we can back up the beginning. with Wilmington, and really it starts with a couple business owners, Randy Skanetsky, which has Route 66 Antiques now, um, and Sam Medea, who was with the Trinity Knot Antiques at the time. Um, but I had some things going on with some cemetery research I was doing, and I was interested in the buildings downtown and interested in some things, but how to approach that was really kind of tough. Um, I ran into a local business owner, and it's just so happened, it's crazy, Ashley. I walk in the door to introduce myself and ask if I can come in and study the building. And he says, "Hey, you want to see what I got going on in the basement? Let me show you on my security cam." So it was crazy coincidence. And to be honest, what he had going on the security cam, I believe was paranormal. Um, so it really just started one business at a time. And as I worked for each business, then I got to know different owners of the town. Um, and a lot of them were having the same. That's when the stories, I kind of let the cat out of the bag. That's when the stories came alive. Everybody had something, some little paranormal encounter. And I just started researching the data and doing the legwork, and spending the night in these places, and doing the work that needed to be done to document for the first time this activity in Wilmington.
What was going
Um,
on? Oh,
I,
I love that. I love that story. It's
it,
it's beautiful. Like, I love when we get to reconnect and not just know them, know their presence, but know who they are. You know what I'm saying? Get to know little bits and pieces about them.
well, it's kind of funny because the city was sitting there. I was here like, 6, 7 years without really. Um, of course, I wasn't listening for that kind of story, so it wasn't interacting on that kind of manner. Um, but once all this erupted, now it's like the town. You go into the town, they'll say, they'll refer to the spirit in the basement. Well, he was active today. So it's almost like
Yeah.
another town on a different time level is now. It's noticeable. We know what's going on. We know that the town exists in a different time pattern, or however you want to look at it. Um, and we appreciate it, I think, a lot more. So that's really the cool part, for sure.
And isn't it close?
It is close. It's just a small 5,000 people, and I happen to live like the 400 block. So yeah, I can walk. Um, but I did, and I suggest people. I know it's hard for people in different towns. I got friends in Texas that can't find any place. It's harder in different areas. You just got to do what you can. Talk to what business owners you can, and our work in the cemetery included a lot of trash pickup and trying to help things out, going out there and doing some good stuff. So you got to give to get back. Don't ever forget that. But I did join the historical society here in this town, and paid my dues and started going to meetings. And it ended up not only being one of the hauntedest places in town, but it's where everything, it's where all the data for the town, it's where all the history of the town stored, all the pictures, bank records, all that stuff. So it's just one of the coolest places in this little town.
Well, one of the biggest things about the Historical Society that I wanted to touch on was, if you have been watching Fred, if you know who Spirit Recon is, if you've been following their work, you know about the Rose Kangley sessions that they did. And this is where they went back continuously to get some of the coolest evidence, like, I think that I've ever seen, because it wasn't in your face, it wasn't too much, it wasn't like flashy, it was just, she was being so sweet and simple and gave you exactly what you needed because you formed that bond with her. And those types of interactions, I think, are some of the most beautiful ones that we have. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about Rose, or tell them a little bit about Rose, that way they can go back and watch the whole thing.
Right. Well, and you mentioned, and I want to give a shout out to Mary Marshall, a friend of ours that helped us in our first world's largest ghost hunt that we did here in town, or participated in the world's largest ghost hunt. Mary Marshall really when I first got into it, I'm good with the data. I'm good with the research. I don't mind doing the hard work. I stay up all night reviewing stuff. Um, but I've connected with the right people, and Mary Marshall's one of those, and she's the one that I was talking about entities, and I was talking about happenings and things that were progressing in my research. And she said, "What about the culture of these people? What about their intelligence? What about their religion? What about?" She started asking questions that were deeper than where I was. I definitely hadn't taken it that far. And it really opened up my mind as far as putting yourself in those positions, and the ability to communicate uh, a little easier, I think, by understanding maybe who you're communicating with, or at least trying to open up that. Um, so that really helped me at the Historical Society. I knew I had a woman uh, that was trying to help me out. She basically could follow me around town. Um, she was there to support me, back me up, lead me in the right direction. Um, and we were able to profile through some sessions, and with the psychic medium, we come to find out it was Rose Kangley. Now, her first name's Agnes, but there is another Agnes in that building. Agnes Brown resides, her spirit resides there also. There's a beautiful nightgown, late 1800s nightgown of hers in there still. Um, so I think Rose wanted to separate. I'm not sure if she went by Rose during her life, or if she was trying to separate herself from Miss Agnes Brown. Um, but Rose, we really felt Rose Kangley was the woman that was she was trying to interact with us. She was trying to let us know she was there. She's trying to help me in this historic paranormal undertaking here in Wilmington. And so I devised a plan, the Rose Kangley sessions. I thought, if this will work out, I'm going to go in and try to just have, instead of going in there and trying to receive all the paranormal evidence I could, let's go in and just focus on one entity, simple banter where we can prove what we're doing, and try to limit all the outside. We're inside of a limestone building, encased in a limestone building. Um, let's use the tools that we know how to use, and let's record it. And I did it alone. It's one of the first things. I know you do a lot alone, and I have done some cemetery work alone. I'm telling you what, being in that Historical Society alone is one. Watch the Rose Kangley sessions 3. You can see there's so much activity. It had me almost plastered on the wall. It was really intense.
It was definitely something that, I mean, you just, again, because you're alone, so those experiences are also more intense because it just has that one focal point of energy to feed off of.
Right.
So there's like you said, there's no worrying about the outside interferences of, you trying to conduct something and then it start
Right.
messing with somebody else over there.
Right.
It's all focused on you. And so, didn't you learn what her favorite food was?
Oh yeah, she screamed it. I definitely, at the same time that this huge, and I know we don't talk about orbs a lot, but this was a huge light ball that actually moves. It comes up the wall and then shoots right down into the SB7 at the same time that she hollers pizza. So yeah, you get to hear a pretty clear voice right there of hers, which I've heard before. Um, but yeah, it was amazing response time, the intelligence, and to have that light anomaly at the same time. I mean, it doesn't. I know what I'm feeling anyway, but to have that reassurance. Actually, I even ask her at the end of Rose Kangley sessions. I say, "Can I turn this data over to the world? Can I show everybody?" I ask her permission to tell this story, and she gives permission. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, to me, it'll always be. I've had some pretty amazing things happen already, but obviously Rose and I have a bond there.
Yes, and that's see, and even just talking about it though, like I thought at some point having this show and being able to talk about it, I could live like vicariously through you guys and feel that much excitement, not necessarily excitement, but just like fulfillment of
Right.
being in these places, especially the ones like you said, they're a part of us. It becomes kind of like being at home. You always want to go back.
Right.
And the answers, even though you've gotten a few, it's not even about answers at a certain point. It's about just being there and interacting with these energies because
And
they've become a part of you, like Bonnie and Clyde. Like, again, you get to help tell their story. And so it just,
well, I think she taught me something
that
too,
bond is
and our viewers may,
crazy.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Our viewers,
No, that's crazy.
our viewers may not understand, and I didn't understand. This took me a minute to understand. But Rose, for some reason, needs to reach out and contact and needs that interaction with me also and others. Um, but that's a side I didn't really look at. I thought it was us doing our thing, entering their realm. The realms are right there, and they have this need or desire. Some spirits do to interact with us, and it changed again. It sent my head swirling again because it's a lot more. And I'm sure it's going to do it a million times on this journey, but it's such a big thing that we're into. It's vast as far as the the possibilities of what's going on.
Literally endless. Like, every time, I think this happens more so because we start pushing ourselves maybe just a little bit more, but after we've gone on so many investigations, like, we're like, okay, there's no way that could get any crazier, especially at the same locations. There's no way that I could get more than I've already gotten. There's no way that, anything crazy that's happened, there's no way anything
Right.
crazier or worse could happen. And every time you start to think that, that location, those energies are like, round. And then go ahead and just,
Surprise. Yeah.
I don't know, you just change the way you look at things. So it's constantly changing. I mean, we always think we're
That's
prepared, and you can never be prepared. Never.
right. And I think keeping the energy, I think we all, obviously we're not in a lab. And that was part of the Rose Kangley sessions too, it seems like we chase this energy around sometimes, hit and miss, and it's gone. We can get a question answered. We can get an SLS strike. We can get whatever. But then we're not able to continue to build this bond. This was an attempt to see if we could actually seal that off a little bit and keep it right there and control, to the best of my ability, control the environment. Of course, it took Rose's help, so I can't do it alone. But between Rose and I, we did to our best control the environment. So definitely a cool deal. Which
And
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was
Go
going to say
ahead.
which led to our poker game, which you talked about earlier.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. So you just finished my sentence for me. It's okay. But yeah, so like you said, it led into that because you felt that every time you went in there, you were giving just one particular energy so much attention that you were like, you know what? Let me just make it a guys' night kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
And go ahead and tell them about that's one of my favorite things. Go ahead.
Well, after a year and a half,
Explain that.
after a year and a half of investigating the place, I'd fell into this. I took a whole month or so, and I this is the first time I actually asked the other spirits to kind of step back and give me and Rose the very first Rose Kangley sessions. One was on her birthday, and I took her a little cake and a candle and sung her happy birthday and kind of made it more intimate. I asked everybody else to back off as polite as I could, but I wanted just her attention, and that way we could control that environment and get those responses. That way I thought at least everybody would know at least we'd know the responses were from Rose, not because I think that's part of the thing. You get multiple answers and then you're confused and don't know how to. It makes
Yeah,
it
because you're being led a bunch of different
exactly. So
directions.
you can't build it. It's harder to build a relationship in a building with multiple spirits. And I believe probably most of them have multiple spirits or have a chance to have it. So,
Oh, absolutely.
so after a year and a half and then working on the Rose Kangley, I thought, I believe there's a male spirit in there that's kind of a grumpy guy. I don't think he really, he's never done anything to anybody or hurt anybody, but some of the women he gives a bad vibe to. And we've caught some EVP not anything drastic. He's not really rude, but he is.
He's a groper. He's a groping ghost.
He's kind of a grumpy guy. Grumpy. I think he's grumpy's there maybe, and we're working on that. But he's grumpy about the women being there too. I'm not sure he really likes women. Um, so then here I am concentrating on Rose for 3 weeks out of the month, and uh, so I really thought, how am I going to get these guys' attention back? We may have some old prisoners in there. We may have some old. It was the police department, so we may have a couple guys back in there enjoying their day. So I thought, what are we going to do to get the guys riled back up? And I thought, let's do a men's only and poker night. And we brought in some real silver, and we brought in some tobacco, and we offered them a shot of whiskey even. And we played cards. We dealt spots for them, and we let them play and make their call or hold, and quite interesting. So,
Because weren't you getting like actual intelligent responses when in regards to when you would bid a certain and you would ante and different things like that, like they would respond to their hand or they would respond to their hand as well.
it is correct. We didn't have any other devices manipulated. And what's weird is in a place that has high energy, for some reason, I ran an EM pump that night. Maybe got a little too excited. Um, and I don't know if that, I don't know, but the K2 and the millimeter stayed pretty steady. Um, but yeah, the spirit box, I think we had about a dozen. I don't have the paper in front of me, but about a dozen intelligent responses like hold, pass, call, uh, nickel or a dime because we were going nickel, dime, quarters or whatever. So monetary response.
You should have threw 100 on the table and see
Yeah,
what they did.
we were trying to be
Someone
more
like
time.
banged the
Yeah,
table.
we were probably trying to be more time period. But yeah, it would have maybe brought a different response.
Like, what in tarnation is that?
Yeah, no doubt. But again, the idea is to. I know you feel this way. I mean, we've been. I feel like I've learned and watched some of the best, and we all do what we can. But if we all keep thinking outside of the box and helping each other, we'll get there faster. Probably not in our lifetime, but um, I don't know that
One can
I'm not
hope,
going to
though.
give up. But it was just an opportunity for us to try to do something a little outside the box, and I'm always looking for that. So
One of the things that I enjoy about watching other people do it is, like I said, the historic aspect when people take a very big interest in that. Because reenacting or giving them that same exact, like you said, you wanted to be time period, sensitive, right?
right,
You want to give them as much of that same energy almost as you can to try and feed off of it because we are like the biggest beacons and the more connected we are with them. I always feel the greater the activity is because they just have like supercharged energizer bunny batteries in human form to work off of.
I agree.
And when we push it, like when you do the poker games, there was another team. I think it's Resident Undead, the group from Adam Kimmel. They actually go through and actually act throughout the building
Right,
and reenact the different situations and give it that same energy, give it that same anger and just sadness and pure tragedy to feed off of.
right.
And it gives you some of the most incredible and mind blowing the historic aspects of it too. Madison
Right.
Seminary being that place. So you go into Wilmington Historical Society and get those types of things. For me, that personal one was for Bonnie and Clyde. That place will never ever be out of my mind. I mean,
Right.
like ever. I will always go back there.
It's a part
And
of us
absolutely,
for sure.
getting those responses from them, getting to tell their stories the right way, helping, and just it's just mind blowing. You guys have to watch this Rose, because now I'm just thinking about the Rose Kangley session and everything like that. Like, you have to go and watch this. You have Spirit Recon. You guys have a YouTube channel, correct?
We got it. Yep, everything's off of our Facebook page, but it's on both of them. So
Okay. But yeah, you guys can go and look that up. And then the poker session is about a few months after that, correct?
it was a
A
yeah,
few
it was a
weeks.
few weeks over there. It's listed there with the Rose Kangley sessions though. So
Okay. You can watch that. Now, the other part of what we were going to talk about tonight, you are going to, and this kind of gets us to segue into it. Your group is going to start. Is it just your group? Is it your group like Jake and everybody else is going, or for the cryptid hunting thing?
I think it
like,
might just
or is it
might
you?
just be me. I'm not sure 100% yet. Jake's got some little kids, obviously, so it's a little different for him right now. So he's been taking care of some
I
stuff this
understand.
summer. Yes, you do. So, but yeah, we've got the opportunity to go up north, north of me, that is, into Wisconsin, into a national forest. And I really can't, I'm not trying to be coy with the location, but the location is not mine to give away.
Absolutely.
It has been featured in a documentary that shows right now on Amazon Prime. So out of respect for the gentleman, I'm just not going to say where at, but it is a national forest up there. And like I said, this is one of his base camps that we're going to be able to hike back to in the evening hours and try to do some research if I can keep away from the bugs.
Or the bugs to keep away from you.
Man.
Just so you know, anything with DEET doesn't really work when you're in the woods, and you need tick repellent like no other.
Yes, I do.
Tick repellent is going to be your best friend. That way you don't have to spend your whole trip picking them out.
Right.
So the cryptid hunting thing, we talked about the coincidences that you have between cryptid sightings and UFO sightings, and then also the different markers of a paranormal experience, where you have the climate changes, the temperature drops, you might have the barometric pressure rise maybe suddenly, the different lights that you see, the bright shining ones or the dull flashing ones.
Yeah.
What do you think that means? I mean, is there any type of way that you believe they could maybe be related?
You know, I guess we're going to find out some information. I guess that's what makes it so weird. You know, I actually was into Bigfoot long ago, but everybody tells you it's a hoax, and maybe it is. But we were also told that, you know, there weren't flying saucers and UFOs, and we were also told there weren't ghosts. So
Exactly.
So they're wrong on two accounts, because I'm pretty sure, I can't prove to you there's UFOs, but to think that we're the only
intelligent life.
There's no way, actually, with the information we have on how old the universe is, and there's absolutely no way that we're the only intelligent life force out there.
Well, just like how most of our oceans are undiscovered, literally.
Right.
And so when you go back and you try and act like, you know, Megalodon didn't just evolve and adapt to live that far down away from us, because he was like, F that. He's still waiting down there, all right, y'all? And, like, you think that a Kraken ain't real? That shit's real, too. I believe in it. People think, you know, Nessie actually still being alive isn't that far-fetched. It was a plesiosaur. There are different types of dinosaur species, not species, but evolutions of them that we see today in nature. Birds being the biggest example, you know? Raptors, bird of prey. I mean, velociraptors and raptors, the hawk raptors, the different classifications of birds, are the same exact thing because they're in the same familial line. Alligators are dinosaurs, and so are sharks. I mean, there's no way that Nessie or a Bigfoot type creature that just evolved to stay away from us because he knew how much danger we were.
Right.
I mean, there's no way that we can say no.
Right.
There's no way we can.
Well, here's the thing that always got me with Bigfoot, and It's going to be interesting because the person I'm going researching with is um, she actually studies it all, um, cryptids and UFOs, and she's strong in the paranormal. So it'll be interesting to see how she tries to find evidence of each one. So, but here's what bothered me with Bigfoot. And I heard somebody say last night I watched a documentary. They said they're surprised we don't have any more sightings than we do. Well, that may be true too, but what surprises me is that we have so many sightings that to me, numbers don't lie. And these are, most of these are real solid people and witnesses, people that have no reason after uh, after 30 or 40 years to be continuing to harbor a lie when they've been in the Marine Corps and they're the grandpa of the year. Why would these guys
Yes.
step out of their comfort zone that one time and make this horrendous lie? There's no way that they do that. So
And
they saw something.
yeah, like the ridicule alone that you withstand
Right.
sometimes with coming out with stories like that. I mean, why why would anybody do that to themselves on purpose? I mean, to be looked at like, oh my God, there's a guy that saw Bigfoot, you know?
I think I
What?
think on
Why
the
would you be that person on purpose?
right. There's a witness on Seth Breedlove, and Seth Breedlove makes documentaries. If you don't know, any of our listeners don't know who he is, he's one of the best, and especially on the cryptids. Um, but there's a witness that saw Mothman. That was 51 years ago or 52 years ago. This guy still tells the story today, and you can see it in his eyes. Why would you? This guy's got his Marine Corps hat on. I mean, there's no way in God's green earth he's lying. Um, so then it becomes a matter of what did they see? What's being seen? How's it happening? And then, like you said, there's just like during the Mothman incidents and a lot of the Bigfoot, and then I think in Ohio and Pennsylvania, a lot of UFO encounters at the same time. Those
Yep, all coinciding.
exactly numbers don't lie, Ashley. You know that. That's why I like math. It won't lead you wrong. So something's going on that's more than coincidental.
It'll lead you wrong if you're bad at
Right, right. Yeah, if you can. Yeah, you're right. You got to be good at it. But if you know how to check your answers. But so it's going to be key. I think it's the start of our research. It's something we're going to go back in January. Also, I'm hoping for a little snow after hunting season. Then we're going to go back out and do some more research in this area. But this will be my first little taste. I don't know how far I'll get first time, but you got to
Squatch hunting.
you got to get out there someday and try it, I guess.
I did in Oklahoma, and that's how I know to bring tick repellent. Because personal experience.
Right.
Because apparently where we went, and that was hilarious to me, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when that whole town was just very opening with all of their stories, with all of their encounters and everything when I did the Broken Bow investigation, when I did it at the asylum.
Right.
But that town, when we drove through it, every 5 miles, not even, there was a Sasquatch cutout of some sort. There was just a huge Bigfoot statue, wooden carved, the stone carved ones. They had Sasquatch shops everywhere, Squatch sightings, and people's backyards. They had Sasquatch cutouts. I mean, they were Squatch crazy because apparently it's a huge sighting area for them. And it was so funny to see how many people, not even funny, it was just like a relief. Like, I felt like, oh, I could live here. I mean, these people, they believe.
Right.
It was awesome, but it's also kind of petrifying that you could just be out there trying to go and explore the national forest, take in Mother Nature's beautiful scenery, and then get snatched up by a Bigfoot. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
And, nah. But one of the things that you said, it was the Marine corpsmen, or it's people who
Right.
have very reputable standing. So we're not. Why would we question them? Why would they give up that security that they have in those positions because as soon as you come out with stories like that, the military's like, you're
Oh yeah.
crazy, and just try and distance themselves as
They
far
have
away
they have
from you
way
as
too much to
possible.
risk, way too much to risk to throw it out there. But yet they're still passionate on what they saw or what they experienced. So
Yes,
way too many,
that
way too
stands.
many stories.
Yes, but that stands true with UFO sightings as
I
well.
agree.
I don't know if you've ever watched the MUFON files that they have. They have a documentary series where it's just a bunch of different episodes with people recounting their experiences with UFOs that were actually reported, official reports of them,
Right.
and getting these people to tell their stories. And a lot of these people are somehow military based or military adjacent. It's insane that over the span of so many years, when remember these things are supposed to be kept hush hush, nobody else knows about the other thing. And in different areas too, you had the same reports coming in from Russia and Japan and America, and
Correct.
especially in times of war. In times of war, the activity was ramped up. Now, when you have all of these same accounts coming from places that did not communicate with each other, mind you, they weren't about to tell, Russia wasn't about to tell America, hey, is there anything funny going on in your skies?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to discuss that type of stuff. You have the same accounts now coming out, and it's the same exact encounters almost, where you have these UFOs shot upon, and then the return fire is just the same artillery that the Army or Naval or Air Force carrier had fired upon them. They have the shields that were just like resistant
Right.
to any type of fire. They have the same accounts of them going, like, just barreling underwater to get away,
Hmm.
disappearing in the middle of the sky. Why would these people say these things for no reason? The clock stopping technology is
Yeah.
being kind of put out at the same time. At one point, I think it was in the 60s or 70s, an entire Air Force base, I believe it was,
Right.
the entire base had a malfunction, and the power went out. No even the generators, everything just completely just crashed. That was the same time where they had a sighting of an actual gray outside, walking around outside of the base,
Right.
and then that happened, like, kind of like a distraction. Like, are they that powerful? We can never know
Yeah.
the
There's
truth because they don't want us to know,
right.
and it makes me so mad.
I think you really said a mouthful there. You're probably onto it because either way you look at it, if it's extraterrestrial, if it's UFOs or it's linked to supernatural Bigfoot, they're probably going to keep outsmarting us, and the government's not going to tell us.
Never.
And if it's, what if it's what if it's Native American energy? What if it's Skinwalker like? What if it's a makeshift? What if it's something that powerful? You talk about powerful. Again, we're up against something that we're not going to win the battle probably. So,
No, and when you think about it, all of America is Native American ground.
right.
Let's just
Oh,
take
I
that
know.
one in real quick,
Oh, I
folks.
know. Yeah.
So everybody's like, oh no, there's certain places with Native American activity, and I'm like,
No, East Coast to West
there's
Coast.
this, it's everywhere. Like, and that bond that they formed with the land, that
Exactly.
energy, that respect that they pour into it.
It can,
I've talked about this with Chris McKinnell for a long time. I mean, it's that pure concentration of respect and love, that oneness that they believe in with the universe and with Earth, especially.
yeah, it's
That energy is carved into the ground forever, no matter where you are.
absolutely, and it starts before life and it ends. It doesn't stop with death with them. There's so many transitions that right back into the ground. So yeah, this when we when we took that ground, what did we uh, what did
Bring upon
yeah,
ourselves.
exactly. Um, and I think it plays a factor in as we roll back around to Wilmington, Illinois. I believe it plays a factor in this small town right here on the river. Um, this town is founded right after the Indians were moved out. 1 year later, all of a sudden now 400 acres are sold to a guy from nowhere. Incorporates all the rivers. Um, you know, it took their waterways, took their good land.
Well, also water though being a huge carrier of energy itself. I mean, what do the banks of every single major, tributary and river and estuary, like everything that we have connected to each other throughout the United States, what energy flows through that? It's also a source of energy for them to feed off of.
Right.
So we're literally maybe feeding energy back into it. Like energy can travel that way too. You
Sure.
have an instance of somebody passing in one area and then ending up in another, but their death was by, a river, or the death was in the water. They've traveled. Like, that's just, it goes back to the way that the Native Americans think that energy,
Right.
everything is energy and everything travels and can transcend or be dimmed, but it's always going to be there.
Right.
Um, I read this, and I thought you thought this would be interesting, that it says on this UFO Insight page that I found that people. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go down to this part, though I don't have to scroll again when I'm reading it. But they said the examples that we can use to say that UFO activity and paranormal activity is related is that you say there are legends of demons and angels, but are they actually like flesh and blood extraterrestrial beings? Are they shapeshifters, like how the Native Americans say that they're skinwalkers? If there's that type of, and I know for a fact skinwalkers are real. Like, I do not doubt that one bit, especially with work that Dave Miller's been doing up at Skinwalker Ranch. Like, there's no doubt in my mind
Right.
after this stuff that you see, because you can't see with your own eyes and still be like, oh, I don't believe that.
Right.
I believe it. You have
Sure.
that type of energy, that concentrated energy that you can use. Could you not also use it for a good cause? Skinwalkers are normally, aggressive with their nature, and it's derived from a dark Native American magic.
Right.
Could aliens and um, Bigfoot, the different cryptids we see, why we can never get them on camera, why they're so good at hiding themselves? Could that be a similar type of skinwalker, a shapeshifter of sorts, using a different type of maybe positive magic or positive force behind it, aside from the negative ones that they use for skinwalker rituals? I mean, or are aliens like shapeshifters themselves, and when we catch them, they're like, I'll just turn into Bigfoot and it'll be fine because nobody's going to believe him anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's endless possibilities.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, and we're gonna turn some attention to it, and it's something I want to do later on in my career or later on in my hobby. But definitely going to stick with the paranormal. We've got some cool stuff coming up, but yeah, I think every researcher wants to answer those questions. So it's going to be good to get up there in the forest and at least start hearing some of the noises, and maybe we'll see something. Maybe we'll be able to figure something out. So
Okay, now where did you guys are going up north, correct?
right,
Northeast or northwest?
straight up going up into Wisconsin,
Okay, Wisconsin.
middle
Okay,
Wisconsin. So, but we've got the
let's see.
world's largest ghost hunt coming up in the Historical Society. We're going to be part of that. It's the fourth annual. Um, so we're going to have a public event here soon, September 28th. I'm just about ready to launch it on Facebook. So um, they undertook some.
That's like a.
They're doing some repairs in there. They're fixing some furnace. Some of the monies that we've made help with some repairs and furnace and air conditioning and bathrooms repaired, electricity up the coat. Getting it up to where it needed to be. Um, this was an old building that they took over, our historical society. Uh, so I've kind of stayed out of their way for a few months. We plan on having a bunch there this year, but it just wasn't cut out this year. So
Um, so one of the things I wanted to touch on before we get off of here, I was gonna let you do that at the end, but I'm glad you did now because
I was
I
going to
might have
forget.
forgotten. Honestly, I might have forgotten too. The pregnancy brain. Like, I'm suffering. It's so hot.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not like you just can't get away from it in Texas summer and being, you know,
Oh, I know. I was down there. As well.
insulated by a whole other human being. um, but let's see. Here we go. So I didn't know. I knew that there were different, stories and different types or different names for different Bigfoot sightings. In different areas they call them different things. It's like the swamp monster at one point, like in certain areas. In Florida, I think it is, or like the swamp
Skunk ape.
creature. Skunk ape. There you go. That's what it is. I knew it was just like swampy or something,
Yeah.
but skunk ape. That's what they call it in Florida. I thought it was just different names for it, but apparently there's actual different classifications for Bigfoot. Now, there's the ones we consider mountain gorillas,
Right.
which are called the patty types, the
Right.
first type, and they're the ones that actually look like mountain gorillas, like a mix between a human and a mountain gorilla.
Correct.
And those are the ones that you can find up where you're going.
Right.
So they're super strong, so please be careful. And I don't know why nobody's ever thought of this, but just bring beef jerky, man.
That's
I'm pretty
exactly.
sure
You're about the 10th person to tell me that.
they just want the beef jerky. And in Red Dead Redemption, one of the video games I play, you can actually interact with Bigfoot.
That's
But nobody can ever catch him or do anything. He just usually dips off real quick. And I'm like, that's because nobody brought him beef jerky. Like, I'm going to bring him some beef jerky. The type 2s, they're more ape-like than type 1 is. They're found in North America, but especially in the South. They have a bestial man-like build and large eyes and a large pupil for dilation at night for their night vision. Their hair is reported as black, auburn, orange, and cinnamon. So they kind of look, they look like orangutans
right.
and billy apes. So they're shorter, but apparently they're much meaner.
Hmm.
Oh, Lord. Wow. So then you have the mandrill human mix, and it's the type 3. They're apparently more savage and primal, and they look disturbing. I'm going to send you this page when we get off of here. They look disturbing. I need you to look at these because I know you'd be making the same faces I am right now.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. This looks like straight up something out of like Planet of the Apes. I'm not even lying. This is crazy.
She's doing this on purpose.
There's apparently a lot of military ones too. What, to try and scare you about
That's
what you're
right.
gonna go
Like
see?
I'm not already.
No, I already told you. You have apparently the least crazy kind in your area. So I mean, this, if anything, this should comfort you because apparently there are worse kinds to be around.
Good.
Especially in the South. Oh Lord. Oh. So type 4 is in the northeast, and they've been referred to as early man Bigfoot, and they're bipedal humanoids. They're typically leaner than type 1 is, but they're still incredibly large and well muscled. They have less facial hair. Yeah, they kind of look more like humans. It's really freaking weird. Oh man, that's pretty creepy. And it's like a gray color, not a black color. And then you have the Genosqua, which is the type of Bigfoot that Native American folklore mentioned as the Rockman. He's the real hairy one, the one that kind of looks like Chewbacca. And, I'm not going to tell you the rest of that one, because apparently they hurt people. Don't worry, he's not where you are. It's okay, Fred. Oh, this is crazy. Yeah, I'll send this page to you. I need you to do like a reaction video so I can see
I will.
the look on your face
I will.
when you see these.
I'll send it right to you.
All right. Well, we're about to wrap up. But before we go, and before you get to everything, I want you to go ahead and go over the historical society investigations you guys have coming up. The largest ghost hunt. And then go over everything else you're doing with Spirit Recon. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and do the Paranormal Bully Busters closeout, which Fred and Spirit Recon are a part of Paranormal Bully Busters. Thank you, Fred. And we always make sure that we promote this cause every time we have a broadcast. In all of our videos, we make sure that we use our platforms for good and not evil. Mostly. So here we go with the bully closeout. Now, if you are a loved one or a victim of bullying, no matter your age or circumstance, please call the number below or go to the website to get help. Someone does care. We care. You have so many people out there that are giving their time and money to this institution, which is Stomp Out Bullying, to provide resources for children, adults, anybody of any age, to get the help that they need when they're in a situation when they feel helpless. People think that bullying may not be a huge issue or something that's necessarily big enough to start a foundation for, at least. But you don't realize that the psychological effects that we have by dehumanizing one another can have. There's suicide hotline information as well in there. If you ever feel down, if you ever feel like there is nothing more that you can do or anything more that you can take, message me. We'll always be here to listen. You can find us on Paranormal Bully Busters, and we'll make sure that you get the right resources that you need to get home. You can go to 877-NO-BULLY, or you can go to www.stompoutbullying.org. You can also donate to the Stomp Out Bullying organization on the same website. And all of that money does go right back to the foundation for them to give schools the resources for children to handle these situations better as well. And then tonight, after this show at 10 p.m. at Pacific Standard Time, I do believe, we're going to see Andy Weebs from Are You Weebs Live and Gateway Paranormal with Matthew Fiore, Casey Boatwright, Wes Neal, and I'm going to punch myself for never remembering this other guy's name, but I love them all the same. You can catch them on the Gateway Paranormal, or not Gateway Paranormal, on the Paranormal Warehouse page. They're going to be going live from Rose Opera House, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I do believe. Alrighty, Fred. You want to go ahead and tell everybody else what you guys are going to be up to and what they can catch up on?
Yeah.
And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Let's take a quick second to remember the families in El Paso tonight, real quick, as I've heard that news.
Absolutely.
So those families are in our hearts tonight. People, do what you can to bring peace to the world. It's up to all of us, each individual. We gotta try harder. But our thoughts and prayers go to them.
Absolutely. Empathy and compassion, people.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's hard.
It goes a long way, and it could save lots of lives in the end from people who feel so backed into a corner that they choose to do what they do.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go on the air and talk about this kind of stuff when the real, that, not that this isn't real, but those families are suffering right now, and that community's suffering. So, but at least we can take a second to think about them. So, but yeah, we're getting started second half of the year with Spirit Recon. First of all, we're going to have a lot of traveling. I'm going to be up in DeKalb, Illinois in a couple weeks. I'm going to Malvern. We're going to Malvern Manor again this year. So we've got some cool trips. We're going to the Quad Cities a couple times to the haunted YMCA. So we got all that going on. We're going to have a live stream history and hauntings with some great content from the Historical Society coming up. I'm not sure if it'll be a weekly show. I'd like it to be like a weekly show. It's something I really want to get into. There's a lot of work that needs done up there. So, and then we've got some live streams coming from some cemetery work. We've got a new medium working with the team. So you never know. We're going to be hitting it hard. That's what you can be sure of. And we appreciate all the followers. It only helps us get our word out there, and it's the more we can do, and that'll be the more we can show you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and make sure you go ahead and check out the Rose Kangley sessions. Everything that they've done at the Wilmington Historical Society, everything that they've done in general, period. On their YouTube channel, Spirit Recon, you can find them on Facebook for Spirit Recon. I'm just very excited to see where you guys continue to go with this place. I mean, what other spirits in that location can you maybe make friends with the Grumpy Man? I mean,
that's the goal.
What else are you guys gonna do? And I can't wait to see what comes up next.
It's gonna be cool. So we got some ideas, so you're gonna want to check it out.
And after a while, you guys will be able to get to catch up on the Bigfoot and Sasquatch investigations and stuff.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to share that information. I'm just not going to share the exact location at this time. So, but yeah, if I get data, I'm going to bring it to you.
All right. I'm glad to hear it because I want to see you reacting to it.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did. Make sure you guys check out Fred and Jake and all of the other people over at Spirit Recon on their Facebook and YouTube channel. You guys can catch this on Spreaker because I see a lot of people are just now popping in. We picked it a bad time. It's Saturday night and everybody's out partying or investigating.
Yep.
So,
We got Kelly and David, and Mike, and yeah, we got some good people in there.
So thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have any other questions that you want answered, even afterwards, go ahead and, as usual, message them to me, message them to Fred. We'll answer them as best we can. We have August 10th. The show coming up is Helena King and Alex King from Berlin Paranormal, from the American Ghost Hunter Show and the owners of Living Paranormal Magazine. And then on August 17th, I have the man himself, Mr. Adam Kimmel, the founder of RU Media Network and Resident Undead, and he is also the owner of Madison Seminary, coming on the show. So you guys go ahead and check those out. You can catch all of the other archived shows on Spreaker, on iTunes, Spotify, and on our Facebook page, actually. They're live streamed there. You can go ahead and go back and watch them if you prefer to watch instead of just listen. Hey, Vicky. You guys have an absolutely wonderful night from Storming the Unknown and RU Media Network. Remember that if you want to discover the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Y'all have a great one.
Peace.